in TV land. Welcome to No Time to Cook. Today's lesson is chocolate molten lava cake. And we are doing virtual and in person. So we have several people that are here that will be talking to. My name is Chef Kim and this is Chef Bonnie. And she is. And we are going to be your Lucy and Ethel today, instructors. But so a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. We have a couple of events that are coming up that are virtual and in person, and we have some VIP seats that are open. But Wind Down Wednesday, this Wednesday, Gwen is going to be featuring all of the decoy wines. So she's got the Sauvignon Blanc, and she's also got the Pinot Noir, and then does she have a Cabernet?
The Fly.
The Fly. And the Calvert, the Patuxent
wines
and spirits has all of the bottles in the state of Maryland that are going to be there. So, and you can pick up your virtual package. So we have packages where they can pick it up and then take it home and then dial in and do it along with her. And she gets like 50 to 75 people that are virtual from her Wind Down Wednesday classes. Yeah, so that's cool. And then I'll be teaching an Italian class on this Thursday night. So we've got a couple spots that are open for that. And then we have an Oktoberfest on October 17th and a craft beer on October 21st. Oysterfest. Isn't that what I said? What did I say? Oktoberfest. Oysterfest, Oktoberfest.
Yeah, the national winning recipe is going to be there.
Who is?
Oyster National Winning Recipes. Like,
are they going to be judging during the?
They've already picked it.
But they've already picked it. So they're going to announce who the winner is.
People get to eat it. It'll be sold all day. So it's kind of a big deal.
Awesome. Great. So that's really exciting. And for the people that are online, we are doubling our recipe today. So the copies of the recipe that they got, when's the last time you sent out the recipes?
She sent it out a couple days ago.
It may
have been updated. I think it was.
Yeah, I did update it.
I did actually send it out recently.
So I constantly, as chefs, we constantly retest our recipes and test over and over and over again. And so I test them a lot and I send them out to neighbors and then I get their feedback and then we adjust the recipe. So this chocolate molten lava cake, the point of it is that when it is cooked, you eat it immediately, you eat it hot, and as soon as you cut it, the chocolate just oozes out of the center. So we'll be serving it with ice cream and some berries on top because that makes it like really delicious. Like with anything else that's really, really delicious, it was stumbled on by accident because a chef had undercooked his cake. And so then when he cut it, and so there's this huge debate over, the chef's name, he's from France, was Jean-Georges Van der Ricken. And he swears that he developed it, but there are chefs in France that dispute that he developed it. But anyway, so this is not 100% his recipe, but we have tweaked it to, there's things I like about it, and so things I didn't. So I just thought his uses 100% flour and uses regular sugar, and I find that powdered sugar makes it a lot softer. It's a softer cake, so we're going to use powdered sugar. He also, in a lot of the recipes, they will treat the ramekins with cooking spray, which is forbidden to be in my house. But I use butter, and then instead of flour, I put a little cocoa powder in the bottom. And it does the same thing. It's just more and more chocolate. And then I add a little bit of coffee espresso in with my chocolate. It really enhances the flavor of the chocolate. So you're going to OD on chocolate today. I hope you like chocolate. So we're going to give you vanilla ice cream so that, so I'm going to walk through, and this does not go in a water bath. It just goes in a regular dish. But I have prepared all these just because we're making so many. But I just take a little bit of the butter. You can melt it a little bit in the microwave. And I just you can take a paper towel or you can take, a pastry brush. Just do the inside of the cup so that you get, and a lot of people miss the corners and they'll also miss the top. So you don't want to overdo it because you don't want your cakes to come out soggy, but you just want to get that in there. And then you just take a little bit. You can do it with, a sifter, or you can just put your spoon in it. Just add a little bit in there. And then you want to be sure to shake it that it gets all the sides too, not just the bottom. And you just keep banging it around until you get it very even. That's it. So, this is similar to making a souffle. It is going to rise. It's going to be fluffy. So, it's going to be very elegant looking, and it's. I can tell you from like the people that we do it a lot in our chocolate class, and it's one of the favorites that the people that take our classes. Hi, welcome. I like your hair. It's one of the favorites, and I know like I make it all the time, and we're retesting recipes all the time, and my neighbors love it. So it's definitely very easy to. Yeah, they're like, "What do you make it today? Yeah. What are you testing today?" Right? So also the other thing you can do is I'm going to use a double boiler, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. And a double boiler is where you've got water in a pan, and you put a bowl over it, but you don't want the bowl to touch the water. When we teach this for the kids' classes, we just put it in a glass bowl and we microwave it so that they're not dealing with the flame. A lot of people will say that they can taste a difference in chocolate and coffee when it's microwaved. So I can't, but a lot of people say they can taste the difference. So we tend to want to go ahead and just use the double boiler. So this is going to take 2 sticks of butter because this is not a fat-free dessert. Everything's better with butter. And then we're going to put, it's got both semi-sweet and bittersweet chocolate. So we're going to put those chips in there, and we're going to sprinkle our coffee in there. And then we have a handy little whisk, and when that starts to melt, we're going to start to whisk it around.
I always thought a double boiler was some like fancy tool I didn't have. Me too. That's what I thought. I'm like, this is like rock my world.
And I gotta say, for someone who I own every kitchen gadget known to mankind, because my kids are like, we can't even buy you anything anymore. You own everything. I don't even have a double boiler because you just put a bowl inside, and you can use a metal bowl. Now, I will tell you, and I'm going to show you this because this is hilarious. This has been like this for probably a year, right?
Oh,
easy. We cannot get this out.
Oh, there's a bowl on top of it. I thought it was part of it.
This was a double boiler that we could not separate. And so to work here, it's been like, see who can get this off, right?
Keep the bottom and put ice in the top.
I've tried that.
Oh, really?
Yes. I Googled that and I tried that. So just make sure when you use, if you use glass, it's not likely going to get stuck, but make sure that if you do it, that the bowl doesn't go so far in that it gets stuck.
Wow.
So this is a nice example of a double boiler gone wrong, right? So
Situation.
There you go. What to do and what not to do.
yes, thank you, Zach. So we keep that there because there's always disasters that are going on, right? So the other thing, and some recipes vary, but the other thing we're going to do is it calls for, and when I'm baking, if I'm cooking regular, I don't do this, but if I'm baking, I check off as I go because I get distracted and then I'm like, did I add that? And the other thing that is awesome to do is to measure out all of your ingredients ahead of time, because if you're going to measure as you go, stuff gets burned, it gets overcooked. It's like, and, you know, it never turns out right. So measure as you go, and then check off as you go. So we preheated our oven. So for the people at home, if you can preheat your oven, that would be awesome. We are using, you should use you can use any size ramekins that you want, but we're using 4-ounce ramekins. I like to use 6 because it's a nice little size, but we're going to use 4, and then you guys can have more than 1 if you want. But so I turned it down to like 425 because I don't want it to burn because the ramekins are a little smaller. So kind of like adjust your heat and your temperature. And if you're using convection, you want to turn it down by 25 degrees if you're using convection. Does everyone know what convection is?
I've heard it.
Okay. So convection is the oven will have a fan that circulates. Now I will tell you, one time I was making a potted stew and I had it on convection, and when I opened it, the entire oven was just the color of the stew.
Wow.
So yeah, you have to kind of, but for baking, and if you're going to put like 2, I always use the center rack when I'm baking, but if you're going to put 2 If you're gonna use both racks, you wanna put it on convection, because otherwise your bottom's gonna burn and your top's gonna burn like on top,
Do you
right?
notice a difference between using one or the other, or does it?
Yes, convection cooks it much faster.
Well, I'm talking about like the consistency and the taste, is it?
Convection is much better because it's, you don't have any hot spots in your oven supposedly, although they're here.
Say hi.
They're here. From my macaroon class, they're here.
Oh,
So, yeah,
Okay.
different ovens are different, you know, so,
Drop calorie difference sometimes.
yeah, so, you know, it just depends on your oven. And so there's hot spots in an oven, and when you're just using a regular oven, it heats from the bottom and from the top, and so you're gonna get hot spots. Where convection, the fan is blowing,
Yeah.
and so it
Should cook better. more
evenly.
thoroughly.
It's,
Yeah.
it's more
Okay.
evenly, but it cooks it faster, so you gotta turn it down 25 degrees. And there's actually charts that you can Google and say, if I'm told to bake it for 1 hour at 350, what's the conversion to convection? And it'll give you the degree and the amount of time
Oh,
to
wow.
cook it. So, yeah.
Cool.
So there are charts, you know, for that, so that's, so we're gonna let that keep on going. Okay, so I'm gonna check as I go, so I don't forget. I got my double boiler growing, okay. So I am going to, we need 4 eggs, and then we need 3 egg yolks. So we're gonna show you how to separate eggs, but first thing we're gonna do is put the 4 eggs in here. Now, some of us have more upper body strength than others, like Bonnie can whip it into submission with just her arms, but she's ex-military, so. But I can't do that. I just don't have that kind of upper body strength. So I'm gonna use a little hand mixer. So you can use just a little hand mixer, or you can use, just the, little emulsion mixers, either one, it's fine. Then we're gonna separate some eggs, because we have our 4 eggs and we need 3 egg yolks. Now I'm gonna separate these and show you how we're separating them, but never throw away your egg whites. Put it in a baggie, label how it is, put it in the freezer, because you can always use them later. And a lot of people like egg white omelets, so. Also, when you do want to crack them over a small bowl, and if if it doesn't crack evenly, you can use your hand. But if you get a piece of shell in there, your shell is a magnet. Have you ever tried to fish a shell out of it? You chase it all over the bowl? Well, use the other part of the shell, and it's a magnet. It'll go right to it. So just a little Heloise here. So, I like to kind of just use my fingers, because I don't want to crack the yolk with the part of the shell, but I like to get as much of the white out of there as I can. And you can pull it off. And I know for like, macaroons, it's just egg whites, so I always save them. And when we make homemade pasta, we need egg to seal the ravioli. So I'll just pull the egg whites out for stuff like that. And you could wrap them up and just label how many egg whites it is.
They defrost quickly, I'm guessing?
Very quickly, yeah, you just sit them right on because you can't put them in the microwave, right? You could put them in a sink with some water in it, just tap water, but they start defrosting immediately. And then you can play with it with your hands, in your warmth of your hands. Yeah. It's really quick too. Yeah, my freezer and refrigerator in here too, it looks like a lab project with everything labeled. Got this. Check that in a second. The purpose of a double boiler is because with the chocolate in there, some things will stick and burn very quickly. That was 6, yeah. We're doing we're doing a kids video after this with cookies. I wonder, have to look at the recipe and see. I think we need egg whites, but okay, so we got that. I'm just going to use my hand mix. Let me check this real quick. Starting to melt. It's gonna be so creamy. Now, if you microwave it, the thing about the microwave that we've learned from the kids is when it comes out of the microwave, those chips look like they're whole. It doesn't melt, but when you touch it, it's completely melted. So the kids will tend to over microwave because it doesn't look like it's melting. So if you do decide to microwave it, just know that your chips will come out whole. And they will look like they're not melted, but they are. And it's probably one of their favorite things to do is melt them. So we're just going to go ahead. Now we're not going to over whip it, but we're going to get these where they're fluffy. So, in the chat, Bonnie, if I'm going too fast, they can just let me know to slow down. There's a chat.
They didn't get the recipe. I just sent it.
Oh, okay.
They're just watching.
Oh, okay. Did you download it out of the folder? Okay. So they're just now getting started?
I think they're, I don't know that. They're just watching, they're trying to work along this.
Oh, okay. We can slow it down a little bit if they want to catch up. Ask them.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, but I learned this way you separate yolks with a water bottle.
Oh, yeah.
If you have an egg, you put an egg in a bowl, and you just gently squeeze a water bottle, an empty water bottle.
And it'll suck up the
yolk out,
white?
it sucks it out perfectly clean, and you can actually put the yolk right in the bowl.
Wow. But that's not very chefy.
I know, you're right.
I'm not sure if we ever did that in a class.
Have an old.
You might get kicked out.
Yeah. It's not.
How many chocolate chips and how much espresso?
Okay, so 2 ounces of bittersweet chocolate chips and 2 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips. And then she can just use like a half a teaspoon of espresso or any kind of instant coffee will work. Does she want me to read her? Bonnie emailed it to her, but she might not have it. So, okay. And then a stick of butter. So there's a stick of butter in here. See how creamy it's turning out? Very pretty. Most of the recipes that you will find, and I'm going to go ahead and add the salt in here with my flour. Salt will bring out sweet, so you do need to have like just a pinch of salt, not a lot, because we don't want it to be not salted caramels that we're making. So.
If you have salted butter, do you still want to include salt?
No, if you're using salted butter, you can cut back on your salt. Gwen is really big on that. Like, I think mostly she's buying unsalted now, isn't she, Bonnie? Because Bonnie's buying it. So Bonnie's a huge baker. We used to drive us crazy. Like, Gwen's like, you don't need unsalted butter. And we're like, we do. But just don't put the salt in. But there's some recipes that don't call for salt. You know.
Mine says that the reason we use unsalted is because we put salt in the butter, but there's no way to regulate it. Some are more salty than others. And I didn't realize that, I thought it would all be the same.
So what I do at home, because you're going to use unsalted butter a lot, and what Kelly was saying for the people at home is that there's no way to regulate and guarantee how much salt is in the salted butter. And I like salt in my butter. So when we were on our field trip in France, I was searching for salted butter, because in France they don't put salted butter on the table. And like, what's the point of eating that on my bread? So I was sprinkling it with salt, but they don't put salt and pepper on the table either. So I was like, yeah, I'm hunting it down and speaking English, like, do you have salted butter? And they looked at me like,
I don't understand the point of unsalted
For
butter.
baking.
yes, for baking.
Not for baking, I know, that's what I'm
But in
saying.
France on the tables, it wasn't salted ever.
Yeah.
And they didn't have salt and pepper on the table because, yeah. So, okay, that's completely melted and creamy. For the people at home, it is 1 1/4 cups of powdered sugar. 1 1/4 cups of powdered sugar, 2 whole eggs and 3 egg yolks. We are going to put 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I love vanilla. Not every recipe calls for vanilla, but I love it. I just think it really, between the coffee and the vanilla, it's just delicious. You can make your own homemade vanilla too. You just put a vanilla bean in vodka, or pick your favorite bourbon or whatever it is that you like, and you just put a vanilla bean in there and set it aside for a couple months, and you've got,
Really?
yes, and it's delicious.
Tip and trick of the day.
Yes. So you can make your own vanilla. We are going to, I turned my double boiler off. Do they need anything else, Bonnie? Do you want a copy of the recipe, or?
No, I just wanted to make sure the one you had is the same one that I sent.
Yeah, I think it is. Okay. So we are then going to mix in 1/3 at a time, because you don't want to dump this whole thing in there because it's going to blow up and go all over you. But plus you just want it to, you know, be added evenly. So I'm going to, also another little trick I do is I sifted my confectioner's sugar and I sifted my flour, because otherwise it's so lumpy, and confectioner's sugar, because of the humidity, can just get these lumps that you just can't get out. And it tends to cause you to overmix your batter because you're trying to get those lumps out. So if you sift it beforehand, it's just a little easier to work with. So I'm going to add a little bit at a time. And all of these ingredients you have at home. You can whip this up in no time. You have unexpected company, and it only takes 12 to 13 minutes to bake it. So it's a dessert that you can have pretty quick. If you have a KitchenAid mixer, that's even better. You just put the whisk attachment on. And you're just going to mix it until it's just thickened and fully incorporated. You don't want to over mix it. It'll make your batter tough. So for those at home, this is what it looks like. It's nice, pretty yellow, and everything's like fully incorporated.
Smell the chocolate.
You can smell the chocolate?
Yeah. Smell it?
You know, I can't even smell it over here.
Oh, I can smell butterscotch when
Can
you
you?
lay in your mouth. Okay, that whole pregnancy is not right.
We're going to take this out of here. Now, when you're adding anything that's heated, I usually try to let it cool down just a little bit, right? But if you're adding anything that's heated to it, you don't want to scramble your eggs, right? So you want to temper it by adding a little bit of chocolate while you're whisking. Without burning your hand, right? I kind of grip a bowl from the top. I have been known to drop the bowl inside the other bowl. It happens.
You just want to add it a little bit at a time because otherwise you're going to scramble your eggs. The other thing you can do is put your bowl. You can do this with your cutting boards too. If you put it on a towel, or if you put your cutting boards on a wet paper towel, they won't slide away from you while you're. We do that for the kids.
And the adults.
Yeah. And then once you've tempered your eggs, you can pour it in.
Does temper mean they've like gotten warm? You know,
Yeah.
like-
Yeah. You want to get everything out of the bowl. We're a little OCD, so when I'm watching anything like on a cooking show, if they don't get everything out of the bowl, I'm like, there's so much in that bowl. Get it back out. You're wasting so much. And different utensils in the kitchen are important, right? So we used a hand mixer because that goes faster, and we're using a whisk to incorporate this. But when it comes to the flour, we're going to use the spatula because we've really gotten through the whipping. We've gotten some air in there, and we don't want to kill the air, you know. So we're going to turn this over to Mommy. And chocolate will stick to a bowl like rock hard. So you want to get water in that as soon as possible. And if you get it on your clothes, make sure you use cold water to do it.
And that looks like a really big whisk. Is there like are there different types of?
There are.
Two different kind of
There's smaller ones like this. There's all different sizes, you know, whatever. I used this one the other night when I was doing risotto because you can get it really flat in the pan and we had to mix it the whole time. So this one worked out really great for that. This one's narrow, it's, you know, it's a little skinnier. So it all depends on what I like the big balloon one. I just think it uses the fat. But sometimes, you know, if the bowl's too big, I mean, the bowl's too small, you can't really use the big balloon one. So.
I like that flat one. I bought 3 after I saw you.
Oh, did you?
I did. I got one for my mother-in-law, my sister, because you
Yeah.
can get into the, like, you know, with a regular one, it's round, you can't really
Get it in
the
there.
corners.
Right.
And that you can like really get, like, when you're making cheese sauces. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a.
Yeah.
I did. I got one. It's a handy tool.
And you have to have more than one, right? So now we're going to fold this in. So you go around, you come up the middle, and you fold it in. So you get your sides real good. And you just take your time because you're supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be not. I was telling Bonnie that I was making it this week because even though I've made it 100 times, I always test the recipe just to refresh my memory and stuff. So I halved it. I'm like, we don't need all this, you know, so I cut the recipe in half. And normally I will literally go through and with a pen and cut it in half. And I'm like, I do remember. So I got all the way to the end and I put the full amount of flour in.
Oh, no.
It's like, then I had to go back and make a full batch and add it all in. It's working out. Great.
Your neighbors said.
Yeah, my neighbors.
Yeah, they didn't. I saw your picture online. It looks glorious.
Yeah.
I was jelly.
You were jelly.
I was. You need to find out where you live. You deliver.
My husband delivers.
Dorothy.
I'm like, get this out of my house. Especially when I make croissants and stuff. And sometimes I will just like, we have in the neighborhood I live in, we have like a Facebook page for the neighborhood. And I'll just put it out on that and say, fresh out of the oven, anyone who wants it. And they'll just,
Yeah, like a bird.
yeah.
That's great to be neighborhood.
And it's so great to meet your neighbor.
I would weigh 300 pounds if I ate all this stuff that I test.
You just contribute to everyone else.
Yes. So, okay, so this is pretty good. We've got it pretty incorporated. So now the big challenge is getting it into the cups without it going all over the cups.
So it's smooth like.
Yep. Yeah, if you're gonna do this, I can show, let me walk around and just show you. I won't get too close. But it's just,
Oh, yeah, you can see that. Yeah, you can see
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Okay, so you want the balls.
Yeah, fan the pan 3 times because you want all the bubbles out.
Okay.
Records, I think, and it's still bubbles. So take a toothpick and pop it, and then slam it again, and it'll fill the limit. But that's one of the biggest problems with the macaroon plant. The macaroons are, French macaroons, are so temperamental, I make like 5 batches before the class, because some people just, they don't turn out, so they need something to take, right? So, or to fill, and they're just very temperamental.
Zoom in.
Oh, yes, zoom in. Can you see that? Can you see? Are they at the place where we are? 'Cause-
Right, you good, you got it.
you wanna do it?
Yeah.
And then pour it in these cups. So we're gonna pour it in these cups. I have what's called a batter bowl. I have 2 batter bowls. And they're bowls just like that, but they have a pour spout on the bowl. And so if I'm making something like this that I have to pour in there, I'll use my batter bowl. Otherwise, we just put it in these cups. So I can do this one too. And rubber spatulas are the bomb. Because you got to get everything out of the bowl. You're going to want to fill these because they're going to rise a little bit. When I first started making souffles, I'm like, mine never turn out. It was so disappointing. And then I Googled it because they didn't tell me this in culinary school either. They make them in tiny, tiny little bowls. You make a souffle in a bowl that is overly small, so that's what causes it to rise. So I was using a bowl that was too big. So when I Googled like Julia Child's recipe, she's like, you make it in this ounce bowl, and I'm like, no way, that's like so small. But that's when it finally turned out. So in this, we're going to fill it to this line right there. I did that at the beginning, but I can talk about it again. But and I showed them how to do one. But you just butter the inside and then you put a little cocoa powder in there instead of flour. Because when this comes out, you're going to turn it over. And instead of having all that white flour on the top, because you can cover it up with powdered sugar, but it doesn't taste good. So this is like so much better. How's yours working out? I'm like a train wreck in the kitchen. Bonnie's way more cleaner than me. But like you should see our starters when we do sourdough. It's hilarious. Mine is all over the counter because it has blown up. And Bonnie's.
Where is that stuff? I put it away. No, I needed that again.
Do you have enough to fill your last one, Bonnie?
Straight.
'Cause I can.
Nice.
Yeah, you might have more in yours because I don't have quite enough to fill the last one, but you probably have more. Well, I can scrape it out too. This is how much I have. So. Yes, our sourdough class is fun with our starters. One of our favorites.
Bonnie gave me a sourdough.
I know.
Starter. I have not been to try it yet.
She told me she did because I didn't. That's why I didn't bring you one.
Yeah, and I told me, I was like, okay, so we were reading, it's like pages of directions, and it was daunting.
It sounds something that it's not bad.
I probably make a loaf of sourdough twice a week.
Yeah, you were telling me
So,
that.
yeah.
My girls like to bake it. Like that.
Yeah.
I always send them y'all your picture of pasta. Start making pasta at home. I come home to pasta. Oh my gosh. Homemade pasta.
Right, you took that home the last time, right?
They love your white sauce.
And-
She made it again. She
Did
was
you make it
like-
again?
She did. She was like, I'm on that.
Just butter, right?
Yeah,
You can't mess with butter and cream.
Parmesan cheese, and it was, yeah, it was so easy. It was
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she was on it.
The only thing is like when I do the kids class, I'm like, I gotta find a recipe without white wine in it. You know, so put a little chicken stock or
Little
something.
chicken stock.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
But the kids are great at it. Get it up in yours. We can take a spoon and close enough. So we're gonna pop these in an oven on 425 and we're gonna set the timer for
12 to 13 minutes. We'll put it on 12 and look at it. You want it to where it's just brown and starts to come apart on the edges, but the center is soft looking. Okay. I'm going to put them both on the center rack. And I'm putting them on for 12 minutes because they're 4-ounce ramekins and not the 6-ounce ramekins, so they might cook a little bit faster. So it's always good to. And the other thing is, like when I cook now, I set timer on my phone because if I walk out of the kitchen and I don't hear the timer, happens all the time. I've blown up eggs many times.
So with a convection oven, does it matter where you're?
No, you put it anywhere.
But on a regular oven, I never know like where.
Center rack.
Always.
Yeah.
Okay.
A recipe will call for bottom rack or top rack.
Okay,
It'll
call
specifically call that out, and if
Okay.
they don't, just put it on the center rack. Yeah. Here. So the people at home, are they caught up to us?
He did not respond. I checked. He was moving right along with us. Did the same thing here. So she must be looking middle.
Okay. Put this over here. And then we are going to get, because this served immediately, so we're going to get some dessert plates out. Now, for saving it, you could make, if you have company and you don't feel like doing the whole thing in front of them, you can get that whole egg mixture together and then just put a piece of plastic over it and just leave it out. Or you can put it in your refrigerator or whatever. But so that all you have to do is combine it and then pour it in and then pop it in. Yeah. And then if you, and they only sit for a minute before you turn them over on a plate. We'll show you how we're going to do that. And then you serve them right away. Oh, Bonnie's also, we got some ice cream for you. So did you put it in the fridge?
Yeah.
Okay. So 30 minutes before you serve ice cream, stick it in the refrigerator so that it defrosts evenly, so the edges aren't all runny and the center is still hard. America's Test Kitchen. Love that show.
Yeah.
So, and then, what was I saying? Oh, and then if you don't eat all of them and you want to have them later, you can pop them in the microwave for about 10 seconds to heat them up. But if you don't, it just tastes like a chewy brown. So it's just as delicious. It just doesn't run like all over your plate. We got some chocolate on this. And then what plates are we going to use? A little glass piece?
Yeah.
Are you doing the next Saturday sweet spot? The pie one, are you doing that?
I'm doing that, yeah.
Okay, cool.
What kind of pie are we making?
Take your class.
Sure, what kind of pie do you like? That's the other thing when, with limited to in-person, we have leftover stuff, so we just send it home with the stuff.
You do dessert class every Saturday?
Every other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love, like, Bonnie is our best baker,
Yeah.
our cake decorator.
By far.
By far, beautiful.
Don't call me.
And I love to, don't call you what?
I said, don't call me a cake decorator.
No,
People get my
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. And I love doing, I'm not huge on sweets. I can't eat a lot of sweets, but I love to make them. So that's why I give them away. But I'm more savory. So I like croissants and things like that. Puff pastry. I love to make puff pastry and croissants.
Yeah, she made some from scratch. We got a video of it. She did, almond, apple, puff pastry.
Oh, that was really
With
beautiful.
the
For
rose,
the,
that was
for the-
so pretty.
So she had, this was beautiful. So she rolled her puff pastry out and then she separated it into like 2-inch squares or like long strips. And then she took apples and did the thin slices and then she laid them all the way. And then she rolled it up and put it on the plate. It looked like a
It was
rose.
so pretty.
It was beautiful. That
There's a
was
video on our Facebook
so
page.
pretty.
It was so pretty.
And you would look like you're a gourmet chef, right? And then, And what did you put? You put like a simple syrup on top of, what was that?
So there was a rancid hand that I put on the puff pastry before I put the apples on,
Yeah.
which is just an almond pastry filler.
Yeah.
And then on top I did I'm losing my words. Apricot.
Apricot.
Glaze. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, that was a good one.
It was really pretty. We got to watch her. Yeah, we happened to show up, and so we got to watch her do it. We were like, okay.
That was really, really pretty. I was watching the video. But when we did the, before COVID, when we did the croissant class, so you have to do a lot of folds. So I had it down to like second, and that class was packed. And believe it or not, the men were into it.
Really?
Way more than the women. The women were like, I'm done with this. This is not worth the effort. And the guys were like, we are on it. You know, and they, because you had to just keep rolling it out, and it just killed you to keep rolling it out. But the guys were much better students than the women.
They were going for the prize.
They just, we find that in a couple classes, they just want to drink the wine and relax, because they're probably doing most of the cooking, so. 1, 2, 5. Boom. Brandon, do you want one? Okay. So Brandon will be making gourmet food, and Brandon will have his sub in the refrigerator.
Tater tots.
Tater tots and sub. We try not to be offended, but we're like, wow, Brandon.
When we first started, I had lots and
Yeah. So that was pretty fun.
They've branched my horizon when I work here now.
4, 8, 10. Here we go. So.
We love you, Brandon.
Yeah.
We love you. And your comfort food.
Turn the light on. Just try not to open your oven, because it lets the heat out, but this one's so dark. Like my oven, I thought was real bright, so if I turn the light on, I can see. But this has, hers has like the black.
Tinted kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of tinted, but you can see it's coming. It's got like 5 more minutes to go. Any questions about what we've done? To see?
I've learned a lot of tricks.
Yeah.
Tips and tricks for sure.
There you
When
go.
you're a fresh pasta class, you learn a lot.
Yes. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the fresh pasta is a lot of fun.
We got the pasta machine now, so that's why she'll make all the dough ahead, and I come
Did you
home.
get the one, there's 2 kinds of one. Did you get the one that attaches to your countertop?
Yeah, that's what Gwen had it in the provision
Yeah.
store. We got that one.
That's what I gave my daughter as a gift.
Yeah, it's a great one, so.
But I don't have the one that's attached to the KitchenAid, but the one that goes on your countertop, you use it more because it's so easy to just pull it out and
Right.
attach it. It's really
Oh,
easy.
I don't have to change, so I said, well, let's.
So we do fresh pasta, we make the dough from scratch, and then we do the noodles, and then we do 2 kinds of ravioli. So we'll do spinach and sausage stuff, so that we have the meat, and then we'll do goat cheese and herb. And then we do a red sauce with tomato, basil, and garlic. And then we do an artichoke and mushroom cream sauce for the cheese one.
How long does that class? Is that like a multi-hour?
It's a 3-hour class, yeah. Yeah, but we've been doing it, we've started doing it online again. And so, and then we had some private parties this past weekend. So there were like 11 people, and so that worked out okay.
Do you think they have a lot of fun? This is 40th birthday?
It was a 40th birthday party.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
You said you really loved it.
Oh,
I
good.
sent all the recipes.
Oh, okay. So the feedback was good.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
They loved it. They were really appreciative. Can't wait to get over it.
And once you do it, it's so easy. So it's like.
You need a pasta maker to do it.
No, you can, so what we do, especially when we're doing the online classes, is we try to use what we think people have at home. So if you don't have a pasta maker, you can use a rolling pin or a wine bottle.
Okay.
And just roll it out and get it as thin as you can, and then you can just cut it. And then I never use a pasta cutter to cut it. You just take it and you fold it over itself, and you flour between each fold, and then it folds up like a tube. It looks like a cigar. And then you just cut it however thick you want it, and then you just drop it, and it comes into a pretty little nest. So you don't need a cutter, and you don't need a pasta
But the
roller.
pasta maker, that one on the counter was like $35.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, to have, like, very inexpensive.
It's really neat. I was impressed. I've never seen it done in person. And my daughter was like, I'm gonna make pasta tonight, and she wasn't home, and I was like, okay. You know,
I came home from
and
work.
she did it, man.
Did you do it? Did you make it? Did you do it on the countertop with your
She
hand?
did it.
Yeah, she put it in the fridge, and then I got home and I said, okay, I think I literally just watched it in class.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I think I can do it now.
I was impressed. I was like, more power to you, man.
Yeah.
Making the dough is pretty easy, like, it's just.
See?
Yeah, using flour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then little drip of water. And so Gwen uses like a food processor to get it together. And I don't. I do it from hand, like just because I like the feel of it. And so Anise, one time we were making, Gwen was making it, who's the owner. And so Anise is like, Kim does it by hand.
Oh, no, she did not.
She did. That was funny. So what we're gonna put on top of each of yours, and you can decorate them any way you want. We also have blueberries. Do we need them for anything else? No. So we can put, what goes best with chocolate or fresh raspberries and mint. And so we're gonna put a little bit of powdered sugar on top, a little thing of vanilla. And then, if anybody, does anybody want, we can put a couple blueberries on just for pretty. And raspberries. And then this is local ice cream. Where is South Mountain? I thought it was, what's the other one? What's the one, Bonnie, that they have the big truck? Yeah.
We'll be here for the oyster fest.
I'm here in Middleton.
This is in Middleton.
Yeah,
Middleton.
Middleton, Maryland.
Where's Middleton, Maryland? Huh. Anyway, they're local. So, it's not one of our zip codes. So this is your first time to, you guys live here now, but this is their first time to solve the diamond. What'd you do last night?
We went to Island Highway for dinner.
Went to
And before
the,
that,
went to the after hours
at Amory Garden.
yeah.
Oh, I love Amory
Yeah.
Gardens. They always have a lot of festivals and stuff, but they're kind of shut down right now. It's a little
Yeah.
disappointing.
And it's good. I mean, all the outside was to walk around.
Yeah.
Get a glass of wine and walk around.
Yeah.
And they did have, the go upstairs, it was open.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
so-
Right? Yeah, needs a couple more minutes.
Hanging it out.
Because they're completely wet on top.
And you
They
just
get
want
it.
them wet in the middle, right?
Yeah, you just want it wet in the middle. You want it to look like it's done around the edges, and
Okay.
that's completely wet, so.
I don't see the timer on it like it was before.
Oh.
Did it go off?
There it is.
I wonder if it was, it looked like it said 10 something. I wonder if I did.
I think that was the time, 10:53.
Ah.
That's why I was concerned that you might forget about it.
That's why I use my phone.
Yeah, he's always on, he's like, did you go to timer? No. He's like,
She wings it.
I'm a wiener.
No, I used to be a winger, but I was sitting in my office one day at home, just doing emails and stuff, and I kept hearing this pow, a pow. And I'm like, what is that noise? And it was hard-boiled eggs blowing up and hitting the ceiling. Yeah, and I've done that 3 times.
Wow.
So, yeah. Or I'll put them on, or I'll put something on and go outside, you know, because I have chickens, so I'll go outside and like mess with the chickens or something. You get distracted.
Yeah.
You come back in and you've ruined yet another pan.
How long do they have to go to start moving the ceiling?
Probably a while. I don't exactly remember when I put them on, I just know. So now when I put them on, I'll just like set my timer for 10 minutes to check and see if they're boiling.
Yeah.
So then I can measure them for, hi, welcome, come on in. So.
Chef Kim, do you have a favorite thing that you like to cook? Something that's like your go-to when you want to impress or something?
Most, I don't
I
know.
hate that question.
I love everything.
Yeah, no, You can disregard, because I recognize.
No, you know what I'm really into that people are very impressed with, that is so simple, is street tacos.
Oh, yeah.
So simple.
I
And,
love.
and especially if I have like a bunch of people that are coming.
Yeah.
So I just get, a big roasting pan and I'll throw like a pork shoulder or a pork butt in there, which is so inexpensive,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Feed a lot of people.
Exactly.
And then, you just throw a bunch of stuff into. I think they still need like another minute. They're still too jelly. So then you can just throw onions, sweet peppers. In my garden, we did habanero peppers. We got 350 habanero peppers.
Oh my gosh, that's like years worth.
Yes, so we
hot.
made hot sauce and then we just put them in freezer bags and froze them.
Yeah.
And then just anything you have, because my daughter laughs at me, I'm like, anything you have in your vegetable tray, and she goes, Mom, most people don't have leeks in their vegetable. I'm like, well, I had it. And then you just cook it for like 4 hours, and you just put like a broth in there, just a beef broth or a chicken broth and a little bit of wine. And it turns out great like every time, and it just falls off. Like you just take a fork and just separate it. And then you do a red cabbage slaw, which is literally just chopping up red cabbage and a carrot. And then you put like a little bit of, pepper flakes, or you could put jalapeno in it. And then it's got like a little bit of honey and olive oil and a little bit of vinegar. And then you just, literally it's the meat on top of the taco, and then you put the red cabbage slaw on top of that. I make it like a little white
Are you gonna
sauce.
send us that recipe?
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to send me that.
And so people think
We
you're
can talk about it.
slave for days.
So we always get street tacos when we go to the Mexican.
Yeah, I grew up in Texas, so
Yeah.
we got with everything.
And then if you just have like some fresh avocados, which I always have, and then it's like, but street tacos, you don't put a ton of stuff on. So if whatever cheese I have, sometimes I have feta in there, sometimes I have goat, sometimes, I have cheddar. It's like, you just never,
People can make them how they want.
you can just put any kind of cheese out there, and that's all that goes on a street taco.
Yeah, that's easy, you're right.
Yeah.
That's a good group.
Yeah.
Dish.
Cool.
But if you have a lot of people over, and then if you're doing a pork shoulder or pork butt, it just yields so much. And then when I have that left over and we don't eat all of it, the next day I make homemade barbecue sauce and I put it in there and cook it. And then you've got barbecue sauce, and you can put coleslaw on top. Yeah. So it's like, then you get 2 meals, and people don't think it's leftovers because now it's barbecue. Have they risen a little bit? And you literally only let it sit like a minute. And we put enough butter and stuff in there that these should come off fairly easy.
How long are you guys staying? Till tomorrow. Okay, so we're having a plan for the rest of the day. So, we're going on boat and that. Oh, and then we're doing, what's your happy afternoon? Yeah, I do my crab lunch, what's the name of it? The key lime thing. Oh, good, it's next door right now. Yeah, we there all the time too. Yes, we're right there. And then after that, I'm not really sure, this afternoon.
They're ready to go. Do you want to get theirs
Morning,
together?
afternoon, yeah. And then dinner tonight at the Ruddy Duck. The Ruddy Duck, oh, that's one of our favorites. So once we get there, what's your favorite? Their Caesar salad is like, the best I've ever had that. If you're a Caesar person, like, it's just,
She always gets the
get the fish and chips.
fish and chips.
Okay, good.
Honestly, I don't know if they still have it, but they have this meat. That's really good. And then I've also had the salmon before, and that's really good. And there's one of the craft beers that's very good.
Yeah, there's a lot of craft beers. It's already there, if you go in, it's probably,
I can't remember what kind of.
they have like a billion to choose from.
So,
Yeah,
Kelly,
it's really nice.
are all of these your children?
No, I'm with this Christian from Preheat.
Hi.
Christian, my son Christian works in the truck downstairs, and then Abby, she's the one who does the videos and does the animation.
Oh, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, so, and then there's Phaedra, who also does art and Phaedra. She's your daughter? Yes. Okay. The two of you. The one in the middle is.
Potentially.
It's a lot of. But I think they would love to see you. Now, they haven't seen it to a class yet. They just heard you talk about it.
So they need to come to a pasta class. Well, okay, now that they've done it on their own. The other one that's a really good class is a paella class. That's really fun.
I haven't been to that one, but I did your tapas class and it was amazing.
Tapas is good.
Tapas, I think, is a really good one too, that looks really impressive to people, but it really isn't like a big, like, you know what I mean? It really wasn't like that hard or anything, but it looks so impressive.
Right.
It was great for a group.
And that's another one that's not that hard.
I think that was the first time I did with you was tapas.
Was that the first one we
I
did?
think so, and I was really impressed. I was like, man, I want to do that.
Just always remember these are super hot.
Beautiful.
Yes. Isn't that pretty? We'll get yours to go, but
Actually, we're gonna do it together.
oh, you're gonna eat it here? Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna eat.
And see how it oozes out?
Oh, perfect.
That's a perfect way. Now, if you were to let it sit long enough, that will all harden and it'll be like a chewy brown. But
You want to do a close-up of one of those?
yeah, she's gonna, we're gonna put some ice cream on it, some powdered sugar, some fruit, and some of this, and then we'll take a picture also. Or Kelly, if you don't mind taking a picture. You just put it on your hand. Before and after. Turn it over. Don't burn yourself.
That's right. I know that's the first thing I would do.
Yes, if you forget, you grab. I can a lot, so those tongs that you use for canning
that's a good
work
idea.
great. They're rubber, because I was gonna use regular tongs, and then it slipped out of the tongs, and I'm telling you, I'm a train wreck in the kitchen. But I can tell you like all these things because from personal.
Yeah.
If you have a little rubber spatula. The other thing we make in these little ramekins that comes out fabulous is creme brulee. Yeah, that's really. And the other thing you can do, see how we have the powdered cocoa on the bottom and you don't have the white? The other thing you can do, if you wanted to, you can flip it over too. It's kind of hot, but you could. Did you take a picture of them? You did? Big Karen. No, Kelly got it.
I did. I got one. Probably take one. In the background. Fancy dessert.
The other thing you can do if you want to, you can serve it right in the ramekin because the ramekins are so pretty. You can serve it right in. So if you get it to really rise up, like why kill it, right? So you can just serve it right in the ramekin and you can just put the ice cream and everything right on top. Also, for the people online, we would love for you to go to No Time to Cook's website and post your pictures.
You need a Facebook community.
Facebook community. That's what Kelly does. The other thing we do that's really fun is we have those, what are those Saturday night dinners called? Like
Pop-up dinner?
pop-up dinners? Yes. Those are super fun.
Wow. That's amazing.
In 13 minutes, you've got dessert. And it's delicious. No, I'm good with that.
So she really for 12 minutes, but then 2 more.
How long did you do the?
So I think the total was about 16 minutes. So you started at 12, then you did 2 more, then you did 2 more.
But I did mine at home yesterday, and it was 13. So it depends on your oven. And also, some recipes, they put it in at 450. Like this recipe says 450, but they were smaller ramekins, so I did it at 425, which I think added to the cooking time.
Okay.
Because I use 6-inch ramekins, and at 450 is perfect. These are 4 ounces, and I didn't want them to
Yeah,
cook.
that's smaller.
Yeah. So you just have to just start your oven on less time, and then just keep checking them. Yeah.
We do, and if nothing else, it's a yummy brown.
Well, and so I could tell by looking at it that it was still, the whole top was jiggly, so I knew it wasn't done. Is it delicious? Yay!
There you go. You guys like to bake. Well, you love to bake, and you love to bake.
And this is so easy, and if you don't want to use the double boiler, just put it in the microwave, and then you don't, you know.
Great.
My niece swears she can, like I reheat my coffee like 3 times in the microwave, right? And she swears she can tell a difference in taste.
Really?
I can't.
I know it's a goes well with the coffee, but it's the same to me.
It tastes
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't, yeah. And I try to like see if like my taste buds are, oh, that's so beautiful, Bonnie. So pretty. I don't know if you can tell, but we all just like love working here. This is like our happy place. Yeah.
It's 11 now.
It's 11, there you go.
Thank you.
That's
That's it.
amazing.
Is it good?
That is so amazing.
Is it good?
Oh, it's awesome.
Everybody has one? Okay, so I think, do we have an extra one, or does someone downstairs want it? I don't need to eat one.
You haven't had breakfast yet.
I got here, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to eat. I know, but it's like, if you haven't had breakfast yet, I'm not sure you want sugar.
Is the mint just garnish, or
let's do
should I
that.
actually eat some?
Huh?
You can
Is
try
the
it with the
mint
lava
garnish, or
cake,
should I
sure.
actually eat some?
We try not to put anything on your plate that's not.
Oh, right, oh yeah. The other thing that grows like a weed is mint. So we grow all our own herbs, and mint grows like crazy. Rosemary grows in the summer and the winter.
I killed my rosemary.
Yeah, but you're not a chef, you're a videographer, and you do our webpage, so.
Not enough sun and too much rain in one spot.
So
like that dry.
rosemary is like in the cactus family. So when I went out to Arizona and I visited my sister, she had bushes. You didn't even know what she had. And I'm out there going, oh my God, get a chicken. Like, we're going to do rosemary chicken. And she's like, what are you talking about? She had bushes on it. And if you're driving through Tucson, it's like wild, right? But yet mine will have snow on it and not. I mean, it's really hardy. So you just don't overwater it. It doesn't like a lot of water.
Right. We put it in a spot that was kind of shaded. We realized
It
the
needs
water
sun.
went off the house.
Yeah.
Combination.
Thyme is another hardy one. Basil, just the second the temperature drops, basil, just have it indoor. And basil indoors is hard to grow, and you need to water it from the bottom. Because if you water it on top of the dirt, or you get the leaves wet, it dies. So I put it in a cup or in a glass dish, and put the plant in there, and then I water the dish, and it just pulls up what it needs, like on the bottom.
Mint lasts very long into winter, or is mint like die off?
Mint, my mint never died. It just grows like crazy. Her mint in the pots, does that survive the winter?
Sometimes it does. Depends. Yeah.
And I think if your pots are like up against the window and the walls and stuff, it tends to not get as frostbitten, you know, and especially like if it's got, you know, some little, and you can cover them up with bags too. I just go out there with like grocery bags and like put it over if I want.
So we were growing that for the first time in summer, and yeah, it's like, it takes off.
Mint,
Yes.
yeah. So, but you can use this for so many things. Do you want me to make one for you to try, or you just not? Okay. Yeah, for some reason I'm not really starving. How is she doing?
Thank you, Chef Kim.
Awesome, this is really, really good.
You like it?
Yes.
Good.
That's
This is, like I said, it's such an easy thing.
And you throw it together, and your company will think you're like a gourmet
Yeah.
chef.
Right?
And you had all this stuff in your kitchen.
I feel like anytime you make any type of souffle, everyone's like,
Ooh, it's so fancy.
And the secret is you fold your flour into your batter. You don't kill the air that you
Yeah.
like put in there, you know, by whipping it. So, yeah, the souffle means to rise, and you just don't want to kill it.
right?
Now are you going out on?
Yes. I'll take it.
On the half shell?
Yep, the half shell is what you guys.
Great.
Oh, good. They got it all decorated for you guys and everything.
It was nice meeting you.
Enjoy. Continue to enjoy your day. We're doing 2 more videos of cookies after this if you want a snack when you get back. We'll be giving away more food. Yeah. You can stay for that, Glenn. You guys can, if you did, you can stay for that class and have cookies.
Sounds delicious.
We're
What
doing,
addition can we say?
we're doing no baked cookies, and then we're doing chocolate chip with 2 kinds of chocolate chip and nuts.
Did we stop the video yet?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not going to get.
Okay. How's hers going?
Like the recording?
Okay.
When we send it out?
That was so good.
I'm glad you like it. It's so easy to make.
It was very good, to be honest. I can't have soup personally, but it was still really
You liked it?
good. Yeah. I prefer savory personally.
Me too. That's how I am. So I make a lot of these things, and then I'm like, I'm not eating
That's what I'm doing.
Same my husband.
Give them away.
When I make
Just like
brownies,
the,
I like savory too, so when I make brownies, I put the stuff in and then I literally put melted butter on top.
that. Oh, do you really?
Yeah. And that's why I was saying, if you have unsalted butter, it's like, there's no point in doing it.
No.
But the salted butter makes the edges all crispy.
You know, you could put some finishing salt on top of it. That would be really good too.
Yeah.
Nuts help.
Yeah.
I'll put nuts and things, and that takes away some of the sweetness.
when I
So
make,
nuts help.
I don't like soup. So I'm into that, so when I make 3 or 4 like layered cakes.
Yeah.
So we have them in the fridge forever. But when I make like cheesecake and stuff, a little bit of the savoriness, because I add some savoriness to it, it's going in like a day.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe cheesecake is so
So what do you add to your cheesecake for savory?
just toppings. I let people add their own toppings
Yeah.
on, and I don't put all the sugar. Like,
I cut back way back on sugar too.
and same with cakes, I put half the sugar because I'm like, it's way too sweet.
Yeah.
And then I put whipped cream frosting, some regular frosting, so it's.
That's what I do. Or even a cream cheese frosting is better than, but I'll use whipped cream a lot.
Like ganache. I think it was.
Yeah, very good. That's very good. Good. Well, that's all, those are all great ideas. But I do the same.
It's too sweet otherwise.
Yeah.
I can't take it.
I need
she's gonna still
She can
chat.
still talk.
Okay, so we're going to stop the video, but she can still hear me though, even though we stopped the
We're just
video.
gonna talk video when we send it out, this is bedtime.
So thank you for joining No Time to Cook, and go on our website and sign up for some of our future classes. We've got a lot going on and we're always open to suggestions. So email No Time to Cook, that will come into Kelly, and info at No Time to Cook. Thank you. Bye.